Perfect. Perfect. Yes, first of all, for sure, thank you for the introduction and also the opportunity to give today, yes, some kind of a factory report, I would say so, out of the perspective of Roche, what we are doing in the field of smart building, and yeah, also why we have to thank IoT within that context. But I think first things first, why does Roche, as yes, for sure, a pharmaceutical company, takes care of this topic? In Basel, in Kaiseraugst, at our headquarters, we do have more than 11,000 employees that work there. We manage more than 1 million square meters of net floor area, and just within the recent years, as you also can see on the pictures, we've been investing more than 4 billion Swiss francs in our infrastructure, and especially in new buildings. And it's less than a week left. Next Monday, the first users will move into Building 2, which is then an activity-based office area. And yeah, they will start working there beginning next Monday already. And just next to it, emerged the Pharma Research and Early Development Center, which will cover a lot of laboratory area and will be also one of the most modern laboratories in the world, I would say so, which is really nice at that point. But we didn't just wanted to build new buildings by themselves, just build a new building too, for example. We also wanted to have some kind of a future-proof infrastructure, especially to be able to, yes, realize smart building use cases also in the future. And the question that arises, why are we doing that? For sure, we are doing that for the war of talents that we are facing as well. We would like to provide the best place to be and also the best place to work. And last but not least, with these cases and also with that infrastructure, we are supporting our core business out of the perspective of smart building and also IoT at our side. And the journey for us already began in 2017, where we started with a smart building initiative, thinking about that whole topic of smart building and IoT, etc. And in the beginning, it was not that clear which kind of use cases will be realized in the future, but we wanted to make sure that the right infrastructure and the right enablers are there that we can easily realize them. And that's the reason why we started to work a lot with our vision, to make sure that everyone understands where do we want to go and why are we doing that. And our vision is our smart building is interconnected with its environment, is easily changeable in its capabilities, provides a high user satisfaction, and displays sustainable values. And in terms of preparation of today, I had to smile because I think it already covers the topic around Internet of Things, which is interconnected with its environment, and also this year's topic around sustainability, which plays also a very important role in our vision that we already created 2017. And for us, this vision, especially in the context of smart building, is usually in an area of tension, I would say so, which means that on the one hand, you do have the user experience, which is quite important and changes in some ways because, as I said, we will open Building 2 next week, which is an office space, and this moves forward to more the spaces also around laboratory space, manufacturing, logistics, etc. And as you also can see from the presentations from today, IoT is not just within the office, it's not just within logistics, etc. It's all about. Therefore, I think this part is really important. And also, if we are thinking about sustainability, not just thinking about it in terms of an ecological way, but also thinking about it in economics, because what we implement right now, these use cases, they have to be operated also over time in a sustainable business case, let's say it in that way. And for us, the challenge is that we do not just implement these use cases, we also do operate them at Roche afterwards as well, which means that we do have this whole holistic view and try to provide sustainable values. But also in terms of the environmental impact, on the one hand, we would like to make our buildings more sustainable, operate them in a better way. But on the other hand, we also do not want to have additional sensors in terms of that a sensor measures the same thing at the same place. That would be even worse, which means that we try to not have exactly these proprietary systems. And that's also the reason why we started to think about how do we think smart buildings, let's say it in that way. And we try to build such a cascade, let's say it in that way, which means that we first start with some kind of enabling infrastructure that we provide if we don't know which kind of use cases will arise. And therefore, for sure, we do have an IoT platform. We're having maps for smart building, which is basically geo-referenced floor plans for our site. We do have the topic around location detection. And starting within the office, we were thinking about where am I as a person on our site. But right now, moving into the laboratory area, we are thinking about asset tracking. That's way more in focus rather than me as a person in terms of location detection. And also topic around occupancy measurement, understanding what happens to our area, and this also not just in the office. And at the end, another topic came up, which is basically additional network infrastructure. Like as we've seen before, Bluetooth Low Energy, LoRaWAN, etc., which is needed to organize that whole communication throughout the site and not just within a single building. And out of that, you see a lot of connections. We do have plenty or different of use cases that all use this enabler infrastructure. And at the end, also the next level of scaling it up is also that we do have different stakeholders that are using these use cases. And this is the way how we try to, scale our idea of a smart building at that point. But now I've been talking a lot about like how we think it, and now I would like to also show how we are doing it right now already with some sample use cases. The first one is smart cleaning, which means that within that use case, it's based on occupancy measurement, understanding what happens to the occupancy on our site, and also maps for smart building. And at the end, we are doing data-driven cleaning, which means we would like to reduce the cycles of cleaning in areas where no one was or where it was not used, but also being able to increase it, for example, in the entrance area, if it was a rainy day, etc., and we've seen that there was a lot of usage, which means also an increase of the quality of cleaning on our site. Another topic which is quite important is a use case out of the real estate management perspective, because our buildings are built basically for the peaks. Like this room is built for an event like today, where a lot of people are here, but not for the average. And that's the same, I think, also part of the energy sector. We are building our infrastructure for peaks, and that's the reason why we try to manage our peaks. And as I said before, we are having more and more activity-based working areas on our site. This means you don't have a dedicated desk where you work, and therefore we also would like to manage our peak and understanding what happens in terms of occupancy over time within our areas or spaces. And also being able then, on the one hand, to make better decisions, do we need another building or not? Or also being able to terminate a rent as well. Moving people back to the office, etc. And that's way more, that's way better to do that with data-driven decision-making based on the data that we collected at that point. A case, I guess, in that round is well known. It's basically our material management case, where we are organizing our orders within the laboratory based, triggered on demand. Fully automated at that point digitally, and the lab technician just scans that code, the OID code, with a reader pen, and then it will be processed through LoRaWAN in our IoT platform, and at the end executed by site logistics, and the material is refilled at that point. And one more use case that's more out of the perspective of our employees, I think it's the most scalable one, especially because all the employees are using it and have access to it. It's our HiSite app, which will be also released next week, which is basically the digital employee experience. And it also enables our employees to make data-driven decisions. Where can I go? Where's the next free meeting room, as you can see here? how can I find my colleague? You can share your location, and then you will be navigated within our campus to that person. You see where are my colleagues working today. I would like to work at the same workstation. You can also see it in the app if you release it. Or you do also have the whole offer around mobility, parking, food and dining, making the decision when do you want to go for lunch. You see it with live data, how many people are in the gastronomy right now at that point, and it enables you to make better decisions throughout your everyday life. And as I already said in the beginning, right now, we are having some kind of a movement, or where we are right now, which means that the requirements, they go beyond the office. We're having requirements out of the logistics, we're having requirements out of the laboratory field, or out of the manufacturing area, which means that so far we've been discussing when is a meeting room occupied. Right now we are discussing when is a lab bench occupied, and when can you reshare it, when can another researcher work on that lab bench, or talking about asset tracking, device monitoring, e-ink labeling, or also which additional infrastructure is needed in terms of network at our site. Which means that if we do have a look at our whole pharma value chain, it's way more than office, because I think a lot of smart buildings that are in that context, like the Edge in Amsterdam or the Cube in Berlin, they are usually office or residential buildings. And I think that the smart building and IoT itself has to support, as we've seen today, also the regions about laboratory, production, logistics, and smart buildings. And at the end, it's not just a building, it's part of a whole site, and that site is part of the whole city, which means that we also have to think all these use cases above the fence on our side in terms of logistics, energy, mobility, etc. That can't be managed just within a building or on a site. It has to be thought bigger. And also the topic around security, connection, etc. Plays an immense role in terms of in terms of open systems, etc. But I think Reto Amstad will have some thoughts about that topic in the presentation afterwards. Which means that I thank you for your time, and if you do have any questions, for sure right now, or as I've heard later in the speed dating, I'm happy to share. Thank you.
So any question? Yes, please.
It's not common to see the end customer actually presenting a solution. It's not normally a vendor, a supplier. Mm-hmm. Did you manage as Roche the whole project yourself, or did you outsource this to solution or integrator the project?
No. Basically, we are having a team that exactly takes care of this. And especially, as I said in the beginning, we often have the challenge to not install proprietary systems, which means that we manage on our own the IoT platform and also the device management, etc., and try to just send the data finally to a business application, for example, that is doing the analytics part, etc. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcel.